My wife and I were typical high school sweethearts who fell in love, went to the same college, and got married. Elizabeth, Lizzie to me and our friends, was a typical cheerleader, and I, Lawrence Johnson, Larry to my friends, was an above-average athlete. Lizzie was a gorgeous redhead, 5 feet 5 inches with a Playboy model figure. Sweet and curvy, I adored her. We were both virgins and gave each other that precious gift in our senior year of high school. Neither of us was going to get a scholarship, but fortunately, both of our families had the financial means to send us to college. I played football and baseball, was 180 centimeters tall, and weighed 90 kilograms in high school. I was a good runner and sometimes filled in as a tight end or wide receiver. On defense, I played safety. In baseball, I was a pitcher and second baseman. Again, my glory days were limited to high school. One thing that sports instilled in me was a love for the gym and staying in shape. Our local gym also offered boxing and martial arts classes. The gym owner, who became my sensei and mentor, believed in a holistic lifestyle that included exercise, diet, and maintaining inner balance. His meditation techniques have helped me in many areas of my life. When we were choosing a college, we discussed it a lot with our family, with each other, and with our friends. My father wanted me to attend his alma mater, and my friends wanted me to leave the state and live somewhere else. Lizzie's friends tried to talk her out of attending our college, saying that she was limiting herself by staying in our relationship. They advised her to go away and live life, meaning 4 years of partying in college. Fortunately, she found new friends in college. Lizzie and I understood that going to different universities could lead to a breakup, as most long-distance relationships don't stand the test of time. So we both decided to attend a state university that was an hour's drive from our hometown. I spent time with friends I had known almost my entire life. Big Billy was exactly what his name suggested. He was a defensive tackle on the football team and ended up getting a full scholarship to a major university in the Southeast. Stan wanted to be called Stan the Man, but most of us thought that was too corny, so he remained Stan. Stan considered himself a ladies' man, as we discovered in the high school locker room. Stan was a man with a capital M. He was gentle, but twice as tall as most of us. Eugene, whom we called Gene, short for genius, earned a full scholarship to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Anyone named Eugene had to be smart, and he really was the smartest guy we knew. He never wanted to be called Eugene, and got angry when someone did. One Friday night at the local McDonald's, some rivals from another school called him Eugene, and Billy and I put a stop to that right away. Billy, Stan, Gene, and I were the main group, but we had a few other friends we hung out with and considered close, but not as close as the 4 of us. In college, we all went our separate ways, but we stayed in touch. We let each other know when we were coming back for breaks or weekends to see each other. Big Billy could only come after football games, and Gene came as often as he could. Stan usually stayed away from us. Mike Foreman, one of our friends, had the opportunity to buy a family home just 45 minutes away from our houses, so he jumped at the chance. Billy and I took out loans from our parents and became the 3rd owner of the house. We ended up spending most of our time there when we came home. Lizzie loved the place. We each had our own bedroom, and the large living room and study provided enough space for everyone else. There were times when more than 20 people stayed over after a Friday night beer party at the cottage. We don't know who put up the sign or how, but we all thought it was so funny that we left it there. One summer weekend, a sign appeared above the front door that read, "Club for Men Who Hate Women." If you're a fan of the Little Rascals, you'll understand what that means. Even Lizzie liked the sign. A few years passed, and I got a job at my father's company. He was a business expert and was preparing me to take over the company when he retired. Billy was hired as an engineer because his major was perfect for the job. Jeannie became a software specialist. My father persuaded him to start his own company, gave him startup capital, and we became 33% owners of his company. We also got his services for free. My father was a smart businessman. Life was good. Lizzie and I gave our parents 2 grandchildren, whom they doted on. and how they spoiled them. We graduated from college a little over 5 years ago, and Stan decided to move back to our area. He got married, which we never expected. His company offered him a transfer to a branch in our city, and he gladly accepted. We hadn't seen Stan since our junior year of college, and we're all looking forward to seeing him again. We kept in touch via email and the occasional text message, so he knew about the Men Who Hate Women clubhouse. I told him we'd give him an honorary membership when he finally moved. Billy, Ginny, and Mike all agreed. The following weekend, Stan moved in, and we all offered to help, but he said not to worry. His company was covering all the moving expenses, and the movers would unload everything. I told him, "Well, if you're too good to let your brothers help, I'm revoking your membership." We both laughed. "At least let me cook a barbecue on Sunday so you and your wife don't have to worry about dinner. Besides, the guys will be here and we can all hang out," I said. Barbecue and beer. How can I refuse?" Stan replied. That Sunday afternoon, we finally met Stan's wife. He had run off with her and hadn't told us much about her, so we were all in the dark. What we didn't expect was that Stan's wife, Cherry, looked like a porn star. Fake hair, fake huge breasts, fake lips. You know, the most beautiful blonde money can buy. Later that evening, Mike came up to me and said, "I know I've seen her before. I just can't remember where. When I remember, I'll let you know." Yeah, I guess my expectations weren't realistic. She never posts anything on social media, so I've never seen any pictures of her. When everyone left, I asked Lizzie, "So, what do you think of Cherry?" "Before we judge, let's get to know her first. Not all blondes with big breasts are dumb." "You're right. Time will tell." Time told. A few years later, our children started high school, and life settled into a pleasant routine. Some would call it a rut. I called it comfort. Lizzie went back to work to put her marketing degree to use. I tried to talk her into working for my father's company, but she wanted to prove herself without the help of family connections. She got a job at an advertising company that Cherry had told her about. Cherry worked at a modeling agency that the advertising company often used. Apparently, she and Cherry often had lunch together and became close friends. I didn't think much of it and thought it was good, since Cherry didn't have many close friends. We still see each other often at the cottage. It was harder for the 4 or 5 of us to get together. Mike traveled a lot, and his wife stayed home when he was away. Billy took care of the kids, their sports, coached them, and was their personal driver. Weekends were tough for him because both of his sons played sports. One weekend, it was just the 4 of us: Stan, Cherry, Lizzie, and me. Stan and I were out on the boat and were just coming back to the dock when I looked over at the cottage and saw 2 naked women sunbathing. I wasn't entirely comfortable with my wife lying naked in the open air, even though we were in a secluded spot. I threw Stan a rope and asked him to tie up the boat while I went over to the cottage. "Mind if I ask why you're naked for all to see?" My tone made it clear to Lizzie what mood I was in. "Relax, Larry. Lizzie was just enjoying the sun in her natural state," Cherry said. "I didn't ask you. As far as I know, Lizzie is an adult and can answer her own damn questions." "Well, Elizabeth?" I asked. She knew I was angry because I had addressed her by her full name. Meanwhile, Stan came over to us. "What's going on? What's the problem?" "My wife thinks she can walk around naked and I have to put up with it. Put some clothes on, for God's sake." "Relax, Larry. Nudity is natural. It doesn't hurt anyone," Stan said. I turned and saw him looking at Lizzie before he noticed my gaze. "I don't like you staring at my wife," I said venomously. When I turned back, Lizzie was running up the stairs to the cottage. "Way to go, prude," Cherry said. "You may not think twice about showing everyone your fake breasts," I said to Cherry. "And you may like that she puts all the silicone in her body on display for everyone to see. I don't like it, and I'd appreciate it if you both kept your noses out of my marriage." I went into the cabin and up to our room. Lizzie was sitting on the bed in her robe. "Why did you think I didn't mind you being naked in front of Cherry or Stan?" Cherry made it seem so casual, and in a way it was very liberating. I don't understand why you're so upset. What? Next time we're all here, you're going to walk around the cottage naked for everyone to see what only I should see? What's wrong with that? If you don't know, then I never knew who you really were. Besides, you didn't even mention that you wanted to do that. What? Do I need your permission? I cut her off immediately. If you're going to start with that feminist nonsense about it being your body and you can do whatever you want with it, then I think we need to reevaluate our relationship. Lizzie gasped when I said that. I walked over to the dresser, grabbed my suitcase, and started packing my clothes for the weekend. What are you doing? Liz asked. I'm done with this weekend and I'm going home. Do whatever you want. I guess you've been brainwashed into thinking that's normal in a marriage. I gathered my things and grabbed my bag. Larry, wait! I need to pack my bag. I'll be in the car. You have 5 minutes. Stan came over to me when he saw my bag and tried to say something, but I gave him a look that told him to shut up. The drive home was completely silent. On Monday morning, I walked into Billy's office and closed the door. So early on a Monday morning, what do I owe you? Billy asked with a smirk. Then I told him what had happened at the cottage. Larry, I wouldn't let Cherry near Sarah. I've heard something, I don't know how true it is. I motioned for him to continue. I heard that Stan and Cherry are swingers. Can you call Mike, put him on speakerphone, please? The phone rang several times. Hello, this is Mike Richards. How can I help you? Mike, you know our number from caller ID. Why so formal? Billy said. Just wanted to annoy you, Billy, Mike replied, laughing, and Billy and I laughed too. Mike, Larry's here with me. I want you to hear what's going on. I told them about the weekend and told them both that Lizzie often had lunch with Cherry. Mike, I've been hearing rumors, and I just told Larry that the main rumor is that Stan and Cherry are swingers. Have you heard anything? Well, I already told you that I saw Cherry before, but I couldn't figure out who she was. Billy and I answered yes at the same time. I know where I saw her. I'm not proud of it because I know you two never watch porn on the internet, he said sarcastically. I'll send you the link on my phone. I just found it over the weekend. Don't tell Mary I sent it to you. She thinks I'm an altar boy. We both laughed out loud. Our phones rang at the same time, and I clicked on the link. It was a video called Cherry Gangbang. We watched for about 10 minutes, and yes, it was Cherry from Stan, being entertained by about 10 men. Mike said, remember, her online nickname is Roast Beef. Billy and I said, ooh, at the same time. It made me sick that a woman of that caliber was a good friend and had influence over my wife. That evening after dinner, I told Lizzie we needed to talk. She looked at me in a way that made me feel unsure that my marriage was as strong as I thought it was. What do you want to talk about? Do you want to tell me more about what I can and can't do? Where did this come from? I asked Lizzie. Until recently, we discussed everything. You wouldn't decide to walk around naked in public without discussing it with me. We weren't in public. We were in the cabin, and only Cherry and Stan were there. Then it suddenly occurred to me. Was that the first time you were naked in front of them? She turned away. So you've been naked in front of them before, I said much more sharply than I had intended. Not exactly. I was topless with Cherry in their pool, and Stan came home, so he saw my breasts. You know they're swingers and that Cherry is a porn star? She was a porn star before she met Stan, Lizzie said. But they're both swingers. What's the difference? Lizzie just looked at me. Apparently you don't care, and apparently the rift this creates in our marriage means nothing to you either. What rift? You're the one creating problems. The rift you're creating by hiding things from me, like the fact that someone other than your husband has seen you naked. The fact that you know Cherry is a whore and apparently fills your head with crap that will destroy the marriage you once cherished. She doesn't fill my head with anything. I'm an independent woman, and I make my own decisions. Like this weekend, when I asked you questions, and you answered me with words from your best friend Cherry. If you don't understand that our marriage is in danger, then we're done. Stan and I are going to have a serious talk in the next few days." I said this as I walked away from Lizzie, who was still staring at me as if she hadn't understood a word. That night, I slept in the guest bedroom. I hardly slept because I realized that my world was spinning out of control. Soon I learned that my conversation had hastened a confrontation that had been planned after I had been prepared even more. The next day, I came home and Lizzie was cooking dinner. I went upstairs, changed into comfortable clothes, walked through the kitchen, and noticed that the table was set for 4, but not the way she set it when the children were around. She hadn't put out wine glasses or the nice china for the children. "Are we having company? And where are the kids?" "The kids are at my parents' house, and yes, we're having friends over." "Who?" "They'll be here in 15 minutes, you'll see." Lizzie said nothing more. I went to the dining room window and opened it. Then I texted Billy and asked if he could come and listen at the window, that it was urgent and I needed help. He replied, "I'll be there in 5 minutes. No one will know I'm here." 15 minutes later, Stan and Cherry entered our house without knocking. I thought it was a little strange. I just looked at them both without saying a word. Lizzie came in, hugged them both, and said dinner was ready. We went to the dining table and sat down. They started eating, and I just sat there without touching my food. Lizzie finally asked why I wasn't eating. I looked at her, then at Stan and Cherry. "Let's drop the pretense." "What do you want to say? Just say it." "Well," said Cherry, "it seems the Neanderthal doesn't want to enjoy his dinner and observe the rules of good manners. Lizzie and I have become very close. We've discussed many things, and I was shocked when she told me that you were her first and only, that she never experienced anything in college because you always prevented her from experimenting." As far as I remember, Elizabeth and I, Lizzie looked up at me sharply when I called her by her full name, discussed this as a couple. We both, I emphasized, didn't want to risk losing each other because of a long-distance relationship. Let me emphasize again that we both came to this decision, so your insinuations that I somehow manipulated my wife are complete nonsense. The only manipulation I see is a porn star slut trying to come between me and my wife. "Stop calling her names," Stan said. "What's not true here? The fact that you married a porn star or the fact that your wife is a fucking whore?" "Stop it, both of you," Lizzie shouted. I just looked at her. "So what did you come here to ask me in the end?" I told Lizzie about my experiences. She doesn't have anyone to compare me to, and I told her about all the different lovers I've had. I turned to Stan. "How does it feel to be one of the 1,000 men who've slept with your wife?" "I'm sure you feel very special. I'm sure it gives you a nice warm feeling at night." Stan just stared at me. "Well, in her stories, Lizzie described you, and yes, you're above average, but you can't compare to the men I've had, and Lizzie wants to try another man. I thought, who better than your friend to give her that experience?" Stan interjected. "Yes, Larry, she wouldn't go to a stranger. She wants to experience this with someone she cares about and who cares about her, so that her experience is a good one." I looked at Lizzie. "So you want to cheat on me with this dirty guy? Don't feed me cliches that it's not cheating if you asked for it. The fact that you asked me for this has practically ended our marriage. The fact that you told this bastard our most intimate secrets and confided in him instead of your husband tells me that it's over between us." I stood up from the table and looked at these two scoundrels. "You have 2 minutes to get out of my house, or I'll throw you out myself." Lizzie said, "You can't do that. I live here and I invited them." "Wow, you're sticking up for them. I'm going to a lawyer as soon as I can." Glancing back at the two of them, I added, "Actually, she has no right to this property. It's registered to my father's company for tax purposes, so she has no say in the matter. You have 1 minute before I rearrange your face, Stan." They both stood up and headed for the door. Lizzie looked at me with anger in her eyes. "I'm not finished, Lizzie. Go upstairs and pack your things. You're going to your parents' house tonight." I'm not going anywhere. This is my house. If you don't calm down, I'll call the police and tell them you're threatening me. Who are they going to believe? Besides, I'm going to Cherry and Stan's for the weekend. It's my body. Billy, did you record that? Yes, I recorded everything on the tape recorder. So if Lizzie calls the police, she'll be in big trouble for making a false report. Lizzie stood there in shock. Billy, who was 6 feet 5 inches tall, looked Lizzie in the eye and said, "I'm very disappointed in you, Liz. I never thought you'd become a whore." Lizzie started crying and ran to her room. I called her parents and explained what had happened that evening and that Lizzie needed to stay with you. I also explained that if she went to Stan's house that weekend, it would definitely lead to a divorce. Lizzie's father was very upset with his daughter. 2 weeks later, Mike told us about a big party at the cabin. Billy and Ginny were tired of my gloom and said that either I go with them to be with real friends or they would kidnap me and throw me in the trunk. I reluctantly agreed. My children were at Lizzie's parents' house with her. Her father had threatened her if she even thought about going to Stan and Cherry's, but when the secret came out, she was too ashamed to go. I heard from the kids that Grandpa had to hold Grandma back because she wanted to beat Lizzie. Something about her not raising a whore. So we're at the cabin, and I'm just hanging out. My marriage is falling apart. I'm getting divorced, and I'm at the cabin with people who actually care about me. On Saturday afternoon, I heard a noise outside. I went to the screen door and saw Stan and Cherry pull up. They got out of the car, and Big Billy, Ginny, Mike, and the others walked toward them. "Why didn't anyone tell us about the weekend?" Stan asked, a little offended. Ginny looked at him and said, "Because you don't belong here anymore." "What do you mean? I don't belong here. We've been coming here for years." "Not anymore," Mike said. Stan started to get angry. Ginny looked at Stan and said, "Obviously, you need an explanation. You've lost your membership. You're no longer welcome here, so take your wife. I'm using that word in the broadest sense. And please turn around and leave." Big Billy looked at him. "You forgot the code, and you're no longer welcome here. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to see your face again." "What code?" "The code of brothers, you idiot. The code that every decent friend has toward his male friends. That his friends' wives and girlfriends are off limits. You broke the code, and you need to get out." "Larry told you I tried to hit on Lizzie?" "He's lying. I didn't try anything." Big Billy moved his face within an inch of Stan's. "No, you let that whore fill Lizzie's head with nonsense about how she needs another man, about how that whore could broaden Lizzie's horizons if she were more like her, a porn star." Stan didn't realize that everyone knew and tried to lie even more. "I'll sue Larry if he keeps spreading these lies. We never tried anything like that." "One thing's for sure. You obviously haven't talked to Lizzie since dinner." Stan looked at Billy, tilting his head slightly, not understanding what he was saying. "I was right outside the dining room window and heard the whole conversation. You two really set Lizzie up and didn't give a damn about what it would do to Larry's marriage. You've been expelled from the fraternity, your membership revoked. Get that roast beef whore out of here. Her mere presence makes me feel like I've caught a venereal disease." Cherry screeched like an owl. "You're going to let him talk to me like that?" Stan just looked at her. All of Stan's friends turned away from him, and he realized he had lost all his friends. Epilogue. Larry and Lizzie were separated for over a year. She went to a psychologist, and later they learned that Cherry had a master's degree in psychology and knew how to manipulate people. She started acting in porn because she lost her license for misusing her degree. She was attractive, loved sex, and was hired as a warm-up, then started acting in films. They estimate that in the 200-plus films she appeared in, she slept with over 1,000 men. They are still trying to save their marriage, but even knowing everything, it will never be the same. Only time will tell if the children will grow up with their parents or not. Larry didn't approve of it, but Billy contacted Stan's company. He explained what Stan and his wife had tried to do and what the consequences were. Billy told them that if they employed people like that, they would look for another supplier. Later, we learned that Stan was offered a transfer to North Dakota, or he would be fired. He chose the transfer, but Cherry said she couldn't live there and didn't follow him. Eventually, he got the divorce papers, and when he signed them, he realized what he had sacrificed for this woman, and it hit him hard. Mike found more videos of Cherry, recent ones, so they found out she was back in porn. I guess she went back to what she did best.